Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first episode of Mindset Monday here at the Lotus Lounge Podcast. I am your host, Uma B, and I'm so excited to have you guys here with us. Today, we have an amazing and incredible speaker. Her name is Lauren Smit, hailing from South Africa, and her topic for today is 5 types of imposter syndromes. So I just want to let you guys know, thank you so much for those of you that supported the Wellness Wednesday broadcast that we had every Wednesday. But we are getting busier here at the Lotus Lounge, the Lotus and Light Metaphysical Center, and we have to consolidate some of these free shows that we are doing. So all the podcast shows will now be recorded on Mondays. We're going to have 2 Monday shows, the Manifesting Monday show with Danae, where we give new moon and full moon messages for all zodiac signs. We're going to have 2 Mindset Monday shows, also here on the Lotus Lounge podcast, where I will have incoming speakers from around the world to share something to shift your mindset. And then every Monday, I also have my 3rd show, which is the Rumor Mill with Big Rose, where we talk about current events from a holistic, spiritual, and street culture point of view. So I hope you guys are enjoying everything that the Lotus Lounge is offering you guys as a podcast. And please, it is a free show, but please feel free to send donations to my Cash App if you feel called to. All right, welcome back, guys. So here we have Miss Lauren Smit. Our speaker today is Lauren Smit from South Africa. Lauren Smit is a marketing mindset coach helping women in business attract quality clients so that they can build a fulfilled life with family and freedom. She was in the brand and marketing industry for over 8 years before finding her passion for coaching in 2020. Lauren realized how much more of an impact she can make when giving women the tools to build a thriving, successful business where they have time to spend with family, but still absolutely love what they do. So welcome in, Lauren Smit.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
I'm very excited that we got to connect again, because when I actually first reached out to Lauren, everything was great. And then I got COVID. So if you guys know how that is, I was down and out. And poor Lauren, I was trying to communicate with her when I could barely breathe. And she was very patient. So thank you so much for your patience and being here as a guest speaker.
Welcome. It's a pleasure. I'm so excited to be back.
So imposter syndrome, I know about the imposter syndrome, but 5 types. Yes. I'm very, very curious and I can't wait to learn. But before we jump into the 5 types of imposters, can you let us know what is the imposter syndrome for people that may not know what that is?
Yeah, so basically it's the feeling of not being good enough or adequate, even though all of the evidence shows that you should be praised for the results that you've gotten. You kind of just deflect any sort of compliment or any sort of achievement that you've made, and you just never feel good enough. And you have like different types of symptoms because of that. If you think of imposter syndrome as like a disease, then you can think of like it having different symptoms, and those symptoms are like people pleasing, perfectionism, paralysis. And then we look at the core or the cause of those symptoms, and then in what we do with the mindset, we're actually addressing the cause of it so that we stop the symptoms, so that we manage the imposter syndrome.
Wow. I think a lot of us can relate to that. Yeah. Mark says, oh, wow. I think a lot of us can relate to that. Like, actually, I was just having a conversation with somebody on my stream this morning, and he was like, what have you created that's unique to you? And I said, oh, no, I really was just putting, and even though I did create something, as he pointed out, I was just like, you know what? No, I didn't really create that. That's just a combination. I was, again, deflecting.
Yeah.
How do you think people get a imposter syndrome? Is this something that from childhood? Is this something we learn over time?
I think for each person, it is different scenarios that happen. It could be in childhood, it could be as an adult. What happens as well is when I go through the different types of imposter syndrome, there's nothing wrong with you if you're experiencing all 5, or if you have experienced all 5 of them. And sometimes there's one that you don't really experience, and then you get yourself into a new situation, and then you can recognize that you're experiencing a certain type. So it really just depends on what happens with you, and what has happened to you that has caused you to have these symptoms and to have these lack of belief in yourself. And yes, we deflect all the time. And we say things like, oh, this was so cheap, or oh, it was my grandmother's. And we struggle to really just say thank you and accept any compliment or any celebration for ourselves. But the 5 different types of imposter syndrome is based on Valerie Young's research. So if you want to go and look more into that, you're also very welcome to do that.
So that's Valerie Young's research, for anybody who wants to go further with this topic. Well, let's just jump in and kick into it. What are the 5 types of imposter syndromes?
Yes, so the first one is the perfectionist. So it's exactly what it says. Everything needs to be extremely perfect. You set very high standards for yourself, and if you don't reach those standards, you don't feel good enough. And it's also it's sort of out of reach. Like, it's just, you set the standards very, very high for your perfectionism. The second one is the Superman or Superwoman. So that is where you push yourself harder than anyone else does. You find downtime really stressful. You might be trying to connect with your kids or just relax, and you just can't stop thinking of work or business or things like that. And you just answer emails and do things out of working hours because you just go, go, go all the time to sort of prove that you're good enough. And the third one is the natural genius. And this is one that I have struggled with my entire life, managing this one specifically. I've experienced all of them, but this one specifically is sort of like a little bit of a nudge in my ribs. So the natural genius is where you previously found things really easy to do, and now you don't want to fail when you take on challenges and fail at the first try. So you're really scared of failing, or if something feels too hard, you're not getting it right on the first try, then you don't feel good enough. And that sort of sends you into paralysis mode, where you're just not taking action and you're not taking on challenges because of the worry that you're going to fail if you try this thing. So for me, growing up in a small town, it wasn't hard for me to be top of my class, to be really good at tennis. There wasn't a lot of competition for me at tennis. I would beat all the boys. I was like number 1 in the entire school, on top of the boys as well, because we weren't a very big school. And then I went to the city to school, and so it already started then, where I would just not challenge anyone to go up on the ladder in tennis and things like that. And then that sort of carried on into my business until I learned about the different types of imposter syndrome. And then the fourth one is the soloist. So the soloist feels like true success is when you do everything on your own. So you struggle to ask for help, because asking for help means you're failing. And then number 5 is the expert imposter syndrome. So this is where you feel like you never know enough. You don't want to look stupid if you ask or answer any questions. You're always doing certifications. You're always doing research. You always feel like there's a certain level of academics that you should have. There's a certain level of expertise that you should have before you could even, offer a certain thing as an entrepreneur, or maybe apply for a new job or something like that. So you always feel like you're not good enough. You need to do more before you can do those things, and ultimately leave opportunities on the table. So those are the 5 different types.
I love it. So guys, for those of you that are listening live, what do you feel you struggle with? I forgot the name of the second one. Is it super achiever?
Superwoman or Superman.
Yeah,
so Superwoman or man.
So there's the perfectionist, the Superman, Superwoman, natural genius, soloist, and expert. I swear I have been all of these.
Yes. It's so normal.
All of these. But the last one, the expert. Okay. So because I'm a metaphysical coach, a soul alignment coach, a psychic medium and healer, we have a lot of people in my field that are not trained. If you just go to TikTok, you'll see 1,000 people offering readings that they self-taught themselves, self-trained themselves. And I've always been told that that's not the right way to do it because, how do you know that you're accurate? How do you know if you haven't been practicing in a class or with a mentor? How do you know what you're doing is really right? Or is it just you're making stuff up and kind of going along? So I've always gotten my training and my certifications and things that I do to show people, hey, I've taken the time to do this. But do you feel that that's like in a way unhealthy that maybe it could be like you say, barring me from certain opportunities and stuff because I refuse to do certain things because I don't feel I'm trained enough in that.
Well, I think there's a scale, there are in every industry that you're in, it doesn't just have to be in your industry. There are people claiming that they can do things that they haven't been trained to do. And so I think there's just like it's on a scale of it holding you back. It shouldn't be doing that, right? So for example, as you mentioned, before I became a coach, I was a graphic designer. Not one person asked me for my certification, which I did do. And in my class, I felt like there were people who could do things better in a different field. Like their creativity it was hard for them to sort of put things in alignment, be creative, all of those things. And so even though they got certified at the end of the day, their designs weren't up to my aesthetically pleasing standards, which is also just my opinion, right?
Right. Your
Or
opinion.
yes, in terms of visuals, so we can look at it that way. So if you look at that, then even somebody who has a certification might not have the intuition to help you with your readings and to help you with like that intuitive piece, but they say that they can do it, or they say that they have the certification, right? So I think it's a very interesting topic, and I think in the end of the day, when it comes to you and your imposter syndrome, you need to have a look at do you have the certification and you're not putting yourself out there because you feel like you need another one and you need another one? Like, is that all you're doing? So another way that expert imposter syndrome comes up is, for example, one of my clients has the expert imposter syndrome. And so what she's doing, she is a health coach. She's got all her certifications, but she's still holding back on showing up on social media because she feels like, what I have to say isn't expert enough. What I have to say isn't relevant enough. I still need extra expertise. I still need some level that she's never going to have or never be good enough because the imposter syndrome is holding her back. So she's not saying things. She's not, or she wasn't. Now we've worked through that, right? And so, like, I find things that she says interesting. Other people can learn what she has to say. There's people who doesn't know what she knows, and so her voice is important, right? So
Right.
we don't want the expert imposter syndrome to hold you back if you can help people from that genuine place of, I'm not trying to scam you into something. I'm not trying to take advantage of my position or how I market myself, right? But it is a very contradicting topic because I think in every single industry that you're in, you're going to have people who abuse that
That
completely.
part.
So yeah.
So Bihen said she's liking the topic. She said, I find myself in at least three of these categories. Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people could relate to this. And I like what you said because I did take a chance and just put myself on TikTok because doing what I do. And I again didn't feel I was professional enough or expert enough, even though I've been reading tarot cards for 15 years. I've done over 15,000 sessions. But for some reason, I just, right, didn't feel like I could do it. And then I was just going through TikTok one day and saw all these people that really don't have the experience, or they're even reading the cards wrong. And I said, well, wait a minute, but they have a lot of viewers and a lot of people. I said, so let me try it. And that next thing you know, I'm trending and I'm doing well on there. But right. Yeah. To get out of this imposter syndrome, sometimes you just got to take a chance. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
isn't that a great way too, on the flip side? Let's say you're not sure if you're an expert, say in a topic, and then you go on, say, on someone like someplace like on TikTok, and then you're like, you don't get the views or you don't get the likes, you know? what would that say to a person, that they are an imposter, or how would you interpret that?
I don't think anyone is actively trying to be an imposter.
Exactly.
So if you're going on, so firstly, the whole point of imposter syndrome is that your brain keeps showing you that you're an imposter. So
Right.
you'll go onto TikTok and you won't get any views, and you'll be posting one video, you won't get any views, and you'll just be like, that's it. It's proof. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not good enough. I need to stop what I'm doing, right?
Right.
You're going to have somebody hate comment on something that you say on Facebook, and they have no idea where you're coming from. They're not trying to understand where you're coming from. They're not trying to understand what you're trying to say, for example. And so you're just like, oh, that's proof that I'm being an imposter. I'm not good enough. You might even get comments from you might have posts that you read from other people and you make it mean something about yourself. So I get really frustrated when coaches will go onto Facebook and say, entrepreneurs mustn't sell on a webinar. Or if you're doing this as an entrepreneur, like you're being salesy, or things in that line, because anyone who worries that they're doing that stops showing up. And they're the people who should be showing up. The people that the coaches are referring to, or people frustrated are referring to, are either people trying to take advantage, or they just people new in entrepreneurship and they don't know how to do things from like a human-centered perspective, right? So they make mistakes. We all make mistakes as entrepreneurs, and we put ourselves out there and we say things that get misinterpreted, and we learn from that and we grow from that, right? And
Right.
so when people make posts like that on social media, a lot of people stop showing up because they immediately see that as evidence, as I'm a fraud, I'm an imposter, I shouldn't be showing up, I shouldn't be doing this. Whereas if we can shift our perspective and show our brain like that, we are supposed to be doing this, and we look at the people who do compliment us and the effect that we do have when we help the people, that's when we can start shifting out of imposter syndrome. And manage it, because it doesn't just like go away. We really need to like manage what's happening so that we don't spiral into a negative place.
Thank you for addressing that, because that's exactly what I wanted to do with that question. I want to let people know you are not an imposter, okay?
Yeah.
And if you do take that chance and you do go for it and you don't get the views or likes or clients or whatever, it's not you. It could be your marketing, it could be,
Yeah.
your presence, maybe you're not using the right tools, but it is not you. And I'll tell you guys something right now. Imposters rarely sit there and worry if they're imposters. Okay. So if you're sitting there and you're worried that you're an imposter, you're not. You're not, because you actually care and you want to show up in your best light. So there's nothing impostering about that. Lauren, I want to thank you so
That's so good.
much for coming through on the podcast today to share your thoughts and your views. If anybody, we're going to include your links and everything, but if anyone wanted to get in contact with you or follow you on social media, how could they find you?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. So the best place to get me would probably be Instagram. It's laurensmit.com02. That's my handle, and you can come and ask me any questions about imposter syndrome, how to manage it, how to start taking action, because there are people out there that need your help. So don't hold back.
I love that. Thank you so much, Lauren. We appreciate having you here. That was a wonderful interview with Lauren Smit. Remember, guys, check my links below for her contact information and follow up with her on social media or through her website. All right, we're going to end the podcast today with this message. It's a law of attraction message from the Getting into the Vortex by Esther and Jerry Hicks. Okay, so here's the message today for everyone. Beneficial beliefs feel better when I think them. There are things in your environment that you believe that match what you want. And there are all kinds of things in your environment that you believe that defy what you want. How would you ever sort them out? How do you know the active beliefs within you that serve you well and the active beliefs that do not serve you? How do you know the beneficial beliefs from the detrimental ones? The beneficial beliefs feel better when you think them, The detrimental ones feel worse when you think them. I love this message because as a law of attraction coach, one of the things I have to do is kind of work with people about their belief systems, because sometimes we have just taken on a belief so strongly without even questioning it that we just accept it as truth, but then we don't feel good about it. And this truth hurts us. So clean up your thinking, clean up your vibration, clean up your thinking, and pay attention to the things that make you feel good and let go of the things that do not. And of course, if you ever need help, please feel free to reach out to me. You don't have to book a law of attraction coaching program with me. You could just book a 1 hour session where we go through your limiting beliefs. We can go through your beliefs and I can point out the ones that are limiting if you can't figure them out for yourself. And then we can clear the space for you to attract what you want. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Manifesting Monday podcast show. I hope you guys like it. And please leave me your comments and let me know if you'd like to see more. We do plan to have another guest later on this month. And if you are a health and wellness or mindset reset expert, please feel free to reach out to me on my social media channels. I would love to have you as a guest on this show. A big shout out to the Lotus and Light Metaphysical Center, where I work, where I'm the CEO of. We have an upcoming spring equinox 2-day retreat on Saturday, March 16th, Sunday, March 17th, where we will be giving you the 9 rites of Manai Ki, shamanic initiation. We will be doing a cacao ceremony, high priestess rituals, message circle, energy share, a great weekend to get you ready for the incoming new year, which is the spring equinox. All right, guys. So thank you so much. I'll see you later.